Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 411 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Eilon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our fourth book was just released. It's called Using AI to Grow Your Fraternity or Sorority. So go and pick up that book today on Amazon. We're also going to have a fifth book that is going to be coming out for Christmas. So be on the lookout for that as well. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, in high school, I was actually a varsity member on the track and field team. I was doing the 200, the 400, and the long jump. I was also on the lacrosse team as well. I think there are so many lessons there in just being in high school sports that really helps to prepare you for college and then even beyond. And today I want to talk a little bit more about that experience and how it helps today's college students, because I do think it's important to have college student voices on the Fraternity Foodie Podcast to talk to us about what's happening on college campuses and ultimately how some of these college students can help new college students coming on. So today we're going to be talking to David Pruden. David lives in the Metro Detroit area in the state of Michigan. He was homeschooled for the majority of his educational career before attending and graduating from Bloomfield Christian in 2019. He is currently a senior and he's a political science major at Wheaton College in Wheaton, Illinois. David enjoys sports. He was a varsity athlete in both basketball and baseball during his time in high school. He aspires to be a lawyer in the field of contract law, and his goal is to create his own multi-purpose sports agency in the future. I can't wait to talk about that. He's got a passion for encouraging young people and, of course, playing sports. Welcome to the show, David.
I appreciate it, Michael. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Anytime we get college student voices on the show, I think it's super important. You know, we spend all this time talking to speakers and professionals, and all that's great. But I think it's important for us to stay connected to college students and what you care about, because that voice, man, oh man, we can't lose sight of that ever. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about being homeschooled, because I think this is really interesting. And I think there's more and more students that are being homeschooled and they're going into college. So I want to understand that experience a little bit more, because you were homeschooled for most of your early childhood. Talk to our audience about what that experience was like being homeschooled. And, you know, do you think that that experience is better than going to a traditional elementary school, high school?
Yes, sir. So I was homeschooled the majority of my young life. I was homeschooled up until my junior year of high school. And I would say that I wouldn't necessarily compare the two in a way as one is better or worse. I would simply say that for our scenario, homeschooling was better. Like you said earlier, I grew up in Detroit. I grew up on the west side of Detroit. And my parents simply, the surrounding area, they just kind of wanted us to be in a better school environment, in the sense that maybe Detroit public schools were not bad educationally, but there were, things going on with students and just a lot of different issues. And they did not want us to have to worry about our schooling environment. So they decided to homeschool us. And that gave us a good opportunity to not only develop a great relationship with me and my siblings. I have 5 younger siblings, and my parents have been married for 28 years. Wow. But they were able to develop our relationship with each other and also our relationship with our parents while giving us a schooling opportunity. We started off up until my 7th, 8th grade year of school, simply being at home with different teaching curriculums and things of that nature. Then we moved in my 7th grade year, we started doing homeschool co-ops. And a homeschool co-op is essentially just school once a week. You go once a week, you take your tests, you have your lessons, you have different subjects, different teachers, and you simply go there for once a week, and you have enough homework to last you up until the next week. You meet once a week, but it is definitely enough homework, and you get your homework done, study for your exams, quizzes, anything like that. So it's essentially a school day once a week with enough homework to last in between. So, but overall, I would say homeschooling was a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to grow and see a different side of education that I may not have been afforded beforehand.
I love that. I think that is absolutely wonderful. I know you have some younger siblings that are very proud of you, David. So just know that you're a role model for them. There's no question
I
about
appreciate it. I do what I can.
that. Now,
Yes.
you played varsity basketball and baseball in high school. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. So we were looking for our opportunity to play sports further on. So we played up until eighth grade. I played football up until my about eighth grade, ninth grade year, and they told us we would have to attend their school every day essentially, and we were not trying to do that. So we were able to find an opportunity for me to play varsity sports, basketball and baseball specifically, at Bloomfield Christian, and that's what ended up leading us to attending the school my junior year.
Love it. Love it. I think that that experience, I'm sure, was probably really good just in terms of socialization. Because, somebody who's being homeschooled, maybe you don't get the experience of, working with a ton of students, right? So was that beneficial from that standpoint too? Just getting to know a lot of the kids in the community and just having an outlet to work with other students?
Most definitely, most definitely. So a lot of socialization came with us at church and
Uh-huh.
also playing sports. I played football, like I said, from 7 years old up until about eighth grade. So I was spending a lot of time going to practice, meeting other people, and being able to socialize with other kids. And a lot of misconceptions about homeschooling is, oh, they just sit in a corner in their room all day and their parents give them A's and A pluses, but that is just not the case at all. I can attest to that. But it was definitely a good opportunity to be able to play sports and grow and learn and socialize with other people as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really good. I like that a lot. And so now you're a senior, you're a poli-sci major at Wheaton College. So what made you choose Wheaton College in terms of your college experience?
Yes, sir. So actually, as of now, I have graduated from Wheaton. I graduated in May, so I appreciate it.
Nice.
And I chose Wheaton because the community I visited, and immediately just everyone was so kind. And a lot of times, colleges can advertise, oh, campus life, campus community. We're wonderful people here and things like that. But until you actually see it for yourself in person, you're never going to know. And so I was able to have an interview went well, and then when I went and visited campus, I fell in love instantaneously. The people were wonderful. The campus was beautiful. It's a small campus. It's only about 2,800 with undergrad and grad students, but it was perfect size for me because my high school was only 170 or so K through 12. So for me, it was like, wow, like 2,800 people is a lot. But I had friends who were saying, this is like the size of my high school, so it's not that big of a deal. But for me, I think it was a perfect fit for me. A lot of most of my best relationships have come from Wheaton College, friendships, just growth opportunities. I was able to, just develop and grow and live life and see what college was like without being too far from home. It's about 6.5, 5.5 hours from where I live currently. So I could hop on a train if I needed to or get a ride back home. But it was definitely a good opportunity and good distance as well. Felt like college without being super far away.
Yeah, that's nice. That way you can kind of build your own life, a little bit further away from your home. And that way, if family wanted to come visit you, they'd have to call and let you know that they were coming. They weren't
Yes,
going to
sir.
just show up, right? It's not like they were next door or anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I like that. That makes sense. I'm happy you had a good experience and it sounded like it was the perfect fit for you. And there's not a lot of students your age that get to write books, but you wrote the book. It's called The Game Through the Eyes of the Player. And in there, you talk a lot about sportsmanship. Talk to our audience about what sportsmanship actually means to you.
Yes, sir. I would say sportsmanship is kind of an all-encompassing term. A lot of times people assume sportsmanship is just shaking hands after the game or being a good competitor. But in my opinion, sportsmanship is discipline, it's hard work, it's ethic. Everything rolls into sportsmanship. If you don't practice hard, you can't perform well for your team. That's sportsmanship because you're showing that you value your teammates and your team enough to put in your effort to benefit that group. It also shows from a competitive standpoint, I'm going to work hard in practice every day this week leading up to our competition so that I can give my competitors the best version of myself so they can develop. Obviously, people see competition as, oh, you're going against someone else, but it's also a chance for you to develop and develop other people. it's sportsmanship is all encompassing. Obviously, there's discipline, there's seeing the opponents as equal and valuable and not disrespecting people and things like that. But I also think that sportsmanship is developing throughout the week and developing in your practices and your games so that you can not only show respect and value for your teammates, but also respect and value other people.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I like that explanation. Also, obviously, academic excellence is something that's very important for you. What advice do you have for the students who are listening right now? Maybe it's a college freshman that you're talking to. What advice do you have in terms of academics and making sure that that's a priority for them?
Definitely. I took a little bit of a different approach to my freshman year. I actually did not involve myself with any extracurriculars outside of intramural sports because I couldn't go without playing sports. I had to throw some sports, and I played intramural basketball, spike ball, and in my senior year, I was blessed to be able to play intramural flag football. That was a lot of fun. But to begin, I did not fill my plate up with a lot of meetings, a lot of clubs, a lot of different things. The reason for that being in my mind was I wanted to be able to give myself time to complete my homework and also be available for friends if people wanted to do different things. And also, I figured I have the rest of my life to have busy days, busy schedules, meetings, deadlines, things like that, on top of already having those deadlines for homework, exams, quizzes, papers, things of that nature. So I would say, don't fill your plate up too much with different extracurriculars. I would say, you can definitely, this is just from my experience, of course, you can definitely involve yourself in extracurriculars early on. But I'm just saying, as for my experience, what I did was I just kind of took it slow. And then I front loaded most of my schoolwork freshman, sophomore, and junior year. So that senior year, I was able to have fewer credit hours and be able to then involve myself in a lot of different extracurriculars that I enjoyed.
Nice. That's good advice. I like that. I
There-
think you do need to kind of, I look at it as almost like a fish going in an aquarium. When you put a fish into a new aquarium, you bring it home from the fish store, you have to almost acclimate it a little bit. You have to put it in the plastic bag in the aquarium so that way the water temperature adjusts. So that way, when you do release this fish, it's going to be successful. If it's a shock to the system, as soon as you put it in, you get home, you just drop the fish into the aquarium. I mean, the shock is going to be too much. You might lose that fish. So
That's
I think,
very,
that's a good analogy, I think.
yes, sir. That is a very good, I never thought of it like that. That is a good analogy.
Yeah. All right. So all that makes sense to me. You also talk about money management in the book, but the reality is, there are so many college students that are broke. And when I say broke, I mean really, really broke.
Yes, sir.
I mean, some of them are struggling to put food on the table. They don't know where they're going to come up with the money for rent and other expenses. I mean, even just books are just ridiculously expensive right now. So how can college students do well in school, but also have enough money to afford food and shelter while in college? I mean, even just, holding down a job can be challenging with all of the pressures that you have in college. So how do you solve this?
Yes, sir. So the funny thing about that is when I actually wrote the book, it was before I was in college. So I didn't really know how difficult. And then looking back, I'm like, wow, yes, that was definitely something where it's like broke college student is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
And what I would say to that is I say, applying for different scholarships and things like that was really beneficial. I would say even the RA position, a resident assistant, where you're able to have some of your board and room paid for and you're able to have a spot to live. That obviously is not going to be the case for everyone because there's only a short number of a small number of RAs in different areas, but that's definitely an option. I would say working campus jobs is something that I did that was beneficial for me to have some extra spending money or money for books or anything like that. I would say that being able to make wise purchases is definitely something, and you kind of have to streamline your purchases because you can't spend as much as you like, and you don't have a lot to work with sometimes. So I would say that was definitely something, but I think campus jobs is something that is kind of flies under the radar, but I think that is a decent opportunity for people to make money, work studies as well, because they allow you they understand that you're a college student, so you're able to sometimes have a flexible schedule and work in time and opportunities to have your schedule end early enough or late enough even for you to spend that quality time getting homework done, things like that, and also having some money along the side. So those are just a few things. Obviously, it's different for everyone, but yes, sir.
Great advice. I like that a lot. And sure, yeah, I mean, a lot of those campus jobs, they do have an opportunity for you to maybe multitask a little bit. Maybe you're
Yeah.
sitting at a help desk or something like that. And when students are not coming up to the help desk, maybe they allow you to study or something along those lines. So they're
Yes.
definitely very flexible in working with college students.
And that's something that I was able to do as well.
Yeah.
Where I was able to, I worked as a manager for the school basketball team for Wheaton College. I enjoyed that. That was one of the greatest experiences of my time, and it got my foot wet and working with athletes and working with sports. And also, I was able to work with the hockey team and be able to do some scoring for them and working for them as well. So those are just a few examples of sports related and also just campus jobs that I worked with in my time at school.
Good for you. You had a lot of great opportunities there at Wheaton. Now I can see why it was such a good experience.
Yes, sir.
And you were big into setting goals. I'm wondering, how do you arrive at these goals that you set for yourself? And how do you hold yourself accountable to meeting those goals instead of just giving up when life gets tough?
Yes, sir. That comes with a lot of details, a lot of, writing down different things that you want to accomplish. If you're able to have a few small pinpoints along the way that get you closer to your goal, closer to your, achievement, that is what is beneficial, what's been beneficial for me. Being able to sit down, take time and write down, okay, these are the things that I want to accomplish. And, setting yourself up for hard work and setting yourself up for, it says if you shoot for the stars, if you shoot for the moon, you might land among the stars and things like that. So being able to set little different goals that build you along a path to success and also keep you determined and pointed towards that goal that you're going for. So being able to honestly writing down different notes, writing down different goals, that type of thing. And also not being afraid to fail as well. Because there are times when you will not get a perfect GPA. That's the majority of the time, quite honestly. But being able to, work hard, know you did your best, and actually putting in the time to study, putting in the time when you have the time to build relationships, things like that. Being able to set somewhat of a track record for yourself and a checklist to look back on is something that's beneficial. That's been beneficial for me.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's really good. So give us an update. I mean, are you still looking to be a lawyer now that you graduated? You're looking to get into contract law, or are you starting to move in some other direction now that you've graduated?
Yes, sir. So my goal ultimately is to have my own sports agency, like you mentioned earlier. And so I'm thinking of doing law school to be able to have idea and have a contract law to be able to work with that, because you don't have to have a law degree to be an agent, but people prefer that. It's generally something that's beneficial because legalese, you can set up different contracts and make sure they're actually legally binding without having to go and hire a team of lawyers and that type of thing. And also it is another challenge to take on. So, but currently right now I'm working with my dad. He's doing some admin work. He has a book that just came out called China Rising, The Case for Containment. And we just had his book launch event last Saturday, and it was a wonderful time. And so being able to work with him, because I graduated with a political science degree, and being able to go right into my field upon graduation has been something really beneficial for me. So, kind of a gap year, but it's been a wonderful time, wonderful experience.
I love it. Hey, and you get to work with your dad, so there's nothing better
Yes,
than
sir.
that.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Wow, that's awesome. All right. So, I mean, the sports agency idea, that's really kind of interesting to me. Talk to me about this multi-purpose sports agency that you envision. I mean, what does that look like? Are there particular sports or particular types of athletes that you would be going after? What kind of services would you offer these clients? I'm just curious, like, what does that look like to you?
Yes, sir. So, when I was really young, my goal was, play football in the NFL, that type of thing. And as I got older, I was able to play sports and things like that. And then you get to the point where like, okay, this may not be the route. So what is the next step? And I've seen a lot of different examples of people who are sports agents and things like that. And I really just enjoy encouraging other people. I just simply see it as another opportunity to walk alongside people. With the sportsmanship and teamwork aspect of it, you're able to develop other people's dreams, develop other people's lives and goals. And so with the multifaceted sports agency, I want to work with a lot of different athletes. It doesn't matter what sport they play. I would probably originally start off with basketball and football because those are the most well known to me. But being able to develop, and help people even with NIL deals, things of that nature, to be able to help young people reach their dreams and goals while also standing alongside them and truly being in their corner. A lot of times, people have this misunderstanding that sports agents are just in it to take 5% or take a piece of the pie from someone. But I want to be able to encourage young people to reach their goals, because I know what it means to have people in my corner, with my family, my siblings, my friends, pushing you towards your goals and developing you and strengthening you in life. So I want to be a person in someone's corner and be a confidant, be a beneficial, member of their group and community. So that's what my goal would be, to help push people forward, give them opportunities for future education, put them in opportunities where they can learn about being sports agents as well, if they may be interested in sports management, sports marketing, things of that nature. It's not just make someone an athlete just so they can be, praised or whatever, but being able to develop the person as a whole. That's what I want to do, is be able to benefit and develop and help people grow as individuals to benefit society and help their families.
I can tell you're passionate about that. So that definitely sounds like an area you want to pursue.
Yes,
And
sir.
it sounds like you would be very qualified to do it, especially if you got that law degree. You'd definitely be in a position to help. And that's really cool. But you're right. I mean, at a certain point, I think, athletes have to look and basically say, okay, is this something that I'm just doing in high school? Is this something that I'm just doing in college? When you start looking at the pros, I mean, the guys who play in the NFL, they are freak athletes. I mean, just freak athletes, in terms of their size and in terms of their speed. I went to school at the University of Buffalo, and I got to watch a guy by the name of Khalil Mack at
Yes,
the University of
sir.
Buffalo.
Oh,
And
that's
this guy plays for the Chargers now. He was taken 5th in the draft in 2014. But now he's playing for the Chargers. Freak athlete. I mean,
Mhm.
University of Buffalo isn't even necessarily known for great football players. I mean, we're Division I, but barely. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so this guy comes out and he's just a freak athlete.
The
I mean,
MAC conference.
yeah, I mean, just a freak athlete that comes out of the MAC conference, University of Buffalo, and here he is, 5th in the draft, and doing amazing things for the Chargers now. But yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you got to understand that guys like Khalil Mack, I mean, they don't come around every day, and the chances of going from college at the University of Buffalo, the MAC conference, and then going to play in the NFL. I mean, chances are not great. I got to be honest with my listening audience. So I think you have to have that fallback position, right? If the NFL doesn't work out, which more than likely it's probably not going to work out. Sometimes it does, but
Yes.
it's a rare thing, right? Rare athletes. And so if it doesn't, you got to be prepared and you got to figure out what's next. And it sounds like for you, this sports agency sounds like something that's realistic and something that you're passionate about. And so, if that's something that you're really good at, then that's something that you need to pursue. Whatever it is that God has given you that you're really good at, you need to exploit that as much as possible and keep pursuing that. And it sounds like, that's the direction that, God has put in front of you. And so for you to go out and get your law degree and put yourself in a position to build that agency, that sounds like something that you're going to excel at. And so,
Amen. I appreciate it.
yeah, I can't wait to see it. And I hope you stay in touch with the little people like me.
Oh, no.
When you
Thank you
get
for
big,
that.
be like, yeah, I was talking about it. And he kind of assured me that would be a good goal. So that way, when you do sign the Khalil Mack, in your sports agency, you don't forget about me. All right.
I got you. Yes, sir. I thank you.
I'll make the introduction when you're ready. When you get that sports agency opened up, we'll have a conversation with Khalil Mack. All right.
Yes, sir. Definitely. I appreciate that.
All right. So listen, we love good food here at the Fraternity Foodie Podcast, and something tells me that you like good food too.
Yes,
So,
sir.
I'm assuming, that you're back, with your dad in the Metro Detroit area, right? Is that where you're living now?
Yes, sir. I am home for the time being. Yes,
You're
sir.
home for the time being. All right. So, you're home in the Metro Detroit area and you're looking for some good food. I know you know good food. So where should I go in the Metro Detroit area to get some really good food? Where do you go?
I can kill two birds with one stone. I got you for Wheaton and Metro
Oh,
Detroit.
all right. Let's go.
Yes, sir. So for Wheaton, I would say downtown Wheaton, there's a place called Burger Social. Solid burgers, solid food. It was a wonderful, wonderful spot there. And if you wanted breakfast in Wheaton, there's the Hen House. And then for maybe like afternoon ice cream or anything like that, it's a place called Kimmer's. Those are some solid places. And then for Metro Detroit, Downtown Detroit, there is the Bucharest Grill. That is a favorite for me and my family. That's a wonderful spot. They have the best shawarma you've ever had in your life. And then also there's the Punch Bowl Social, which is downtown near the YMCA and Comerica Park, that area. That's also very solid food there.
Nice. Great recommendations. I'm definitely going to take you up on that. Next time I'm in Wheaton, Illinois, you better believe I'm going to be checking those spots out. And Detroit too. I mean, I end up in Detroit quite often. I mean, it's a good hub. Sometimes I might only be in because I'm like connecting flights in Detroit, but hey, there's still an opportunity to grab some good food. So those are great suggestions.
Thank you.
So if our listeners, if they want to go and buy your book, or they want to connect with you, maybe for like a speaking opportunity on their college campus or maybe their high school, where should they go to connect with you?
Yes, sir. So my website, if you're looking for my book or connection opportunities, is davidhpruden.com. And this is my book, The Game Through the Eyes of the Player. And this is where you can purchase that book. And also I'm on Instagram at Dave H. Pruden. That's DAVEHPRUDEN. And yes, sir. So in my email as well. But yes, sir. So Dave Pruden 11 at gmail.com is my email as well. So those are a few places where I can be reached.
There you go. He gave you his email, his website, his Instagram. He's all over the place. DavidHPruden.com. Go and check out that book and connect with Dave. I think he's the kind of guy that you want on your team. He's going to be an asset, no question about it. And he can certainly relate to the college students on your campus, the high school students that are high school athletes, and really kind of give them those pearls of wisdom that can come from a peer, which can go a really, really long way. So I appreciate everything that you do, Dave. Thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate the opportunity.
You got it. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation with Dave, I want you to like this interview on social media, and I want you to share it with other students on your campus, because I know they want to hear from Dave as well. So thanks so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. We will talk to you, and we will see you on the next episode. Take care.